Well, obviously looking forward to getting back into the rhythm and the routine for the next 4 weeks. I thought it was a really productive bye week, served many purposes. But now onto the challenge of playing the premier team in our conference, and rightfully so. They're as impressive as a group, a collective group, as I've seen all year, a complete football team, offense, defense, special teams, big and physical like your typical Louisiana football teams, very well coached. And I can't say enough about the quarterback. Very, very skilled, but also how would I describe him as a kind of an NFL-minded quarterback. You can tell by the way he exhausts his progressions. You can tell by his drops. You can tell by his rhythm. Can make all the throws. He's in control. You can see it on the field. Also, from a leadership standpoint, really, really talented group of running backs. Again, just have a lot of respect for their football team. Big, physical, very imposing. It's going to be a great challenge, but I think really to date, this is probably the most complete football team we've seen all year when you look at offense, defense, and special teams collectively as a unit.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Billy.
Hey, Coach, you kind of hit on this in your opening statement. How important do you think it was for your team to get that week of rest and really kind of lock in, mentally where, there's that mindset of the next opponent, the next week, and you guys have had a little bit of extra time to focus on that opponent. What do you think that does mentally for your team?
Well, I think it's what you make of it. So much is being in a routine and a rhythm. I do think it came at the right time. So many things we needed to be done, but now how do we get back our focus? How do we get into the in-season routine? How do we get back to the rhythm and everything that goes into it, the fluidity, the way we play. So again, this week is going to be big. I know they've had ample time too. It's really like a bye week for them as well. But it's what you make of it. But, it's being able to go on the road, being able to play an extreme quality of opponent. Obviously, you work really hard to be playing meaningful games in November. And we're playing meaningful games in November, and it's not this game. This game isn't the end all be all. We have 4 games left on our schedule, and every game is the most important game, and then you move forward. But I do think the bye week came at the right time for us. Now, how do we create a competitive advantage with that? Just like for them, they've had ample time as well.
Let's jump over to Chris.
Hey, Coach, just your thoughts. Obviously, it's a rivalry game this week with you guys and the Cajuns. Just your thoughts of now being in this rivalry now, obviously entering your 4th year.
Well, it's a game that means a lot to a lot of people, means a lot to our universities. Anytime you can play in games like that that have a significance, that have a meaningful deal in your program, I think is very, very big. But again, you can't get caught up in the emotion of that. It's going to take great focus for us. We're going to have to definitely play our best football game of the year. Make no mistake about it. And we're going to have to play our most complete football game of the year in all 3 phases.
Let's jump over to Billy.
Coach, you mentioned this earlier about playing meaningful football in November. In your time with the Sun Belt, how have you seen this league grow where, essentially every match is big football coming down in November?
Well, I think I've continuously said it. It's night and day different. Our league is completely different. You look at it, it used to be called the Fun Belt. You'd win games 43-42, and it would be a shootout. It's not that anymore. I think their parity has really hit the Sun Belt. I think we have institutions that have really made high commitments in their football programs. When you look at it from facility improvements, when you look at the game environments, everyone has a home field advantage. I think when you look at the coaches that we have in this league, I've been doing this a long time, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for the coaches in this league. Louisiana is as well a coach a football team as we've played. So when you look at, it's become more of a defensive oriented football conference when you look at it. But there's parity, and anyone can beat anybody each and every week. You have to basically reinvent yourself every single week. And I compare it a little bit to the SEC. There are no off weeks. And then I think when you compile that with our non-conference scheduling and who we play, that's why records don't mean anything. Troy is as good of a football team as we have in our league. And, football comes down to 3 or 4 plays in a game, maybe 4 to 6 plays that can make the difference in a season. Winning is very fragile. There takes a lot that goes into winning. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for where we're at currently with the state of the Sun Belt Conference. And I think you would be hard pressed to find a conference that has more complete depth in their teams. And there are no off weeks. There are no games where you just show up and you win football games. And that's something that I've tried to educate our fan base here is you can't get caught up in records. Football is a game of matchups. That's why some teams fare better than other teams just because of the 22 matchups that go involved on the offensive and defensive side of the ball before you even talk special teams.
Thanks, Coach Jones.